Tons.
We weren't recording.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
All right, 5, 4. Oh, take 2. 5, 4,
recording on
3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. We are farming with Peacocks,
The good.
where we're breaking it down. Okay. Take 3. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the podcast Farming with Peacocks. And today we're going to be breaking it down.
The good.
The bad.
The goats.
Rachel, what's the first segment of our show going to be?
First segment of the show
First
is
segment of the show.
a little explanation on Uncle Leo's
We don't have to do
drunkenness.
that.
He
Oh,
just had a
okay.
tonsillectomy.
Tonsillectomy. I'm on drugs. First time I pooped in 5 days. All right, moving
Okay,
on.
good. Great.
We're pretty excited for Leo. But if you think that Uncle Leo looks a little inebriated, it's because he is. But we are still happy to have
It's
him
all
here.
legal, all prescribed.
Yes.
Not under the table.
No, it's all over the table.
Under-
It's over the table.
Yes.
It's prescribed.
It's
okay.
prescribed.
So
By a doctor.
by a doctor,
real
by a
doctor.
real doctor with
With
a real
real
name.
Not a
degrees.
veterinarian.
Yeah. These aren't horse
We're not
tranquilizers.
stealing medications from our goat's prescription box.
All
Okay.
right.
On the podcast this week, we're going to start with a new segment called What's Happening on the Farm Right Now.
Almost every segment's new, though. Let's just be honest with the crowd, because
It's a
this
new
is
podcast.
our second podcast.
Well, to be
As
fair,
far as they
this
know.
is actually our fourth podcast, but we've scrapped 2 because we didn't feel like they were the kind of caliber we want to
By
put out
we,
into this
we
world.
mean her.
I am. So as the self-proclaimed taskmaster, I am making sure the products that we put our name on are good.
Good for you. Okay,
So we'll see if this one comes out.
what's going on with the farm? Mud management.
We are in mud management mode. We've got a cute little trick where we get junk tires from the tire store. They're free. Then we go get recycled concrete from the concrete yard and fill the tires. So we lay the tires down in a little foundation, fill the tires, and so far so good. We've done it with our pigs, and now we just put it in our horse area. So we may be onto something.
Yeah, we'll let you know in 5 years if it's really working, but
Stay
for now,
tuned.
it looks pretty cool.
What else is happening on the farm? We've got our IBC tanks.
Well, the main thing that's happening on the farm, just big picture, because we're in the 2-month off period where we're not milking. We're spending a lot less time milking and making cheese. So we have time to plan. We have time to get into our next season and hit the ground running. But the off season is a very important time on a dairy if you have a, quote, off season. Which we do. Most cow dairies don't because they do cyclical breeding.
Mm-hmm.
So they always have cows in milk, and they give hormones. A lot of them give hormones to make their cow go into milk if they need to. You don't always need to. Anyways, what I'm doing today is getting into the cheese cave, cleaning everything up, putting more lard on all of the rinds of the cheese, because we do have some hard cheese in the cave right now. And it's always a tedious process that my wife says she's going to help with, and then usually just avoids like the plague, because it's really tedious, and my wife she doesn't do tedious unless it's paperwork, and then she's the queen. So that's what's going on the farm today.
All right, so today also we're going to talk about how this farm has changed your relationship with food. And I have some points to say, and Matthew does, and I think Leo does too if his tonsils are up, or his lack of tonsils are up to it. So I will go ahead and start. I am 36 years old, and I spent the majority of my life on a diet, counting calories, eating microwave meals with points attached to them, burning all my calories on a treadmill, making sure I was at 0 at the end of the day. Just a pretty unhealthy relationship with food. I didn't think about food as far as where it came from, but instead of, what it was going to do to my body.
It was oversimplistic. I'm guessing it was like all about caloric intake.
Right.
Focusing
Caloric
on-
intake. And what I could eat that I could eat the most of. There's that like rye bread cracker stuff that IKEA sells. It's like a native product.
So Rachel's freshman
And-
year of college, she constantly had like all kinds of little sicknesses. You're in and out of the clinic. I don't think hospital, but in and out of the clinic. Like
I was
trying different
very
things.
sick. I actually became a vegan for 2 years in college because I thought, maybe the meat was making me sick because the meat that colleges, institutions, prisons get is the lowest quality of meat you can get. And so I thought, let me steer away from this. It probably has hormones in it and is making me sick. The problem is I was a really bad vegan and I lived on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on little dinner rolls.
And baked lays.
And so my tongue started to peel off, like in just like
So gross.
sheets of unhealthiness. So, but that didn't.
You done the dollar menu McDonald's diet.
I've done the dollar menu McDonald's
fast
diet.
McDonald's cleanse fast.
McDonald's cleanse fast. Yeah, you can order anything you want as long as it's on the dollar menu. My go-to was a McChicken, no mayo, add ketchup. And
Gross. Every time you say like those, like I'm just like I can't even believe you know that crap.
yeah,
It's
I mean
painful.
because I was more motivated by
Calories.
well, at that point, money. I just was trying
Even
to
though
save
she
money.
had tons of money.
I was investing it wisely, but I wasn't putting the investment into my body. So,
Right. Or into the land.
into the land. And so for me, that changed when started a homestead. Really, got my first chicken. Chicken laid its first egg. The egg was the best thing I'd ever eaten in terms of taste, and there's a sense of ownership and pride when you grow your own food. And so it kind of was a slow evolution of growing your own food. I got sheep and pigs and goats, goat milk. Goat milk then became goat ice cream, goat cheese, all of those things. But what I found, so this is not like a what diet should you get to lose weight talk, although I am the healthiest I've ever been in my life now, and I eat whatever I want pretty much from the farm. And so what I have found is getting a larger and deeper connection to your food source, you reduce the anxiety around food choices. So for me, I was constantly thinking about what my next meal was going to be, how much calories it was going to be, how much I had to run in order to negate that meal ahead of time, or if I'd have to work out after I ate it. And I mean, you're just your brain is just a disaster.
So like a high percentage of your thought energy went into these meals that were almost always really horrible for you anyways.
Right.
Providing very little nutrition for your body, for your mind, for your spirit.
And then when I would celebrate and go out, I would spend so much time stressing about, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to allow myself to eat whatever I want on this menu. And then I would almost become like a panic. Like, what can I eat? It became very overwhelming. It was it was almost debilitating. And so how this farm changed my relationship with food, it healed me in a way that got me closer to my food source. And what I found is the closer I got to my food source, the less I cared about calories and the more I cared about the life the animal lived, where the food came from, where it was grown, what I was supporting by buying it. And that anxiety around food kind of dripped away. Let me wrap it up. This farm had a very positive impact on the way I looked at food, and I'm a healthier person and my family is healthier because of it. But you have a different story. How did this farm change your relationship with food?
I ate way more meat. I didn't eat that much meat before I came to this farm, and I ate very little dairy as well. I was one of those almond juice drinkers. Gross. That's all I have to say about that. No, it's not that bad. If you have no access to healthy milk, then absolutely drink almond juice until your little heart is happy. But
And he's calling almond milk almond juice for those of you who are maybe confused.
what's almond milk?
Yeah, exactly. He likes to do
What's
that.
almond milk? What's almond milk? Do you know what almond milk is?
No.
So
No.
anybody who feels condescended, just remember that's what he's referencing.
Yeah. So, anyways, I do love unsweetened almond juice. It's an amazing product. But you know what's more amazing, and what constitutes probably about 20% of my caloric intake and about, I don't know,
Let me guess,
30% of
goat
my
milk.
liquid intake. Goat milk. Raw goat milk,
guessed it.
specifically from Lost Peacock Creamery. Sorry, we don't sell it really to the public. We are licensed to, but we don't.
And the reason for that is not because we don't want to, but because it's really hard to make a living wage as a micro dairy. And one of the ways we increase our chances of making a living wage is by turning that raw milk into a value added product by making goat cheese. So when we do sell it, we sell it at a price that reflects what we would lose in the value by not turning that into cheese. And there's just cheaper sources for raw goat milk for local people, especially at the co-ops.
Left Foot Farms. You.
Left Foot Farms is a great place to get it.
Yeah. We can vouch for him being a really great farmer, treating his animals really well, and making some really amazing tasting milk. But like I said, goat milk. So the first time I came to this farm, I was
Because
getting myself ready.
when Matthew and I met, we didn't have a grade A dairy yet. I had all the goats and all the things to build a dairy, but nothing was done yet. But there were definitely goats and milk when I met Matthew.
Yeah. So before I came to her farm, I was like, I better drink some goat milk and make sure that I'm ready for this, because I haven't tasted it since I was a kid. My grandpa had Nubian goats, and I remember loving the goat milk. It was amazing, and I remember looking forward to that specifically whenever I went to his house, is drinking the goat milk. Anyways, I tried the milk from the Myers goat milk from
Trader Joe's,
and it tasted like a goat. Smells, not our goats, because our goats smell so good, but goats from like what are they, like a indoor
confinement. Goats raised in confinement.
Goat thing, where they eat like mostly corn and soy and live in very close quarters and don't get a lot of fresh air. Now, we don't want to go into too many details on that, but not all places that raise goats are like that. That's just what it tasted like. I can't actually vouch for Meyenberg how they source their milk, but that's what it tasted like, is a goat barn, a stinky goat barn. And I didn't really like it, but I was like, okay, I can handle this. Went to her place, drank her goat milk, and it was just sweet, yummy, thick, creamy, milky deliciousness. And I chugged it, and I loved it, and I could have I drink it every morning. I drink it before I go on runs. I drink it if I'm thirsty, and a lot of people are grossed out by that. I used to be grossed out by that until I tasted our goat milk, and it has a lot of electrolytes in it. It's like Gatorade, except 20 times as good. I am convinced, without a doubt, that raw goat milk is a superfood, especially... I mean, what is milk? It's the concentrated down version of nutritional greatness that the mother can give to her progeny. So, I mean, what's another form of that? Well, it's human milk, and humans that drink milk happen to do much, much better than humans that don't drink their mother's milk out of their mother's milk. And so... drinking goat milk, I know a lot of people who are anti-drinking milk. They say drinking milk's for babies. Well, it's also for this little baby right here. And it makes my life a lot better. I love it. I love it. Anybody who knows me knows that I love goat's milk. Like, it is the best. And so that's a big part of it. Also, I eat a lot more pork. I ate pork maybe once a year before I moved onto the farm. Now I probably eat it, I don't know, typically 3 times a week. When we have a lot of pork in the freezer, it's every day, almost 7 days a week, at least one meal a day. And I feel good. I used to eat mostly vegetables, some rice or noodles, and pescatarian type stuff, like a lot of fish, and then I also would eat steak sometimes.
So talking
Deer.
about how the instead of just listing all the foods you used to eat.
So yeah.
So talking about how this farm changed your relationship with food, one of the things I noticed with you is you really don't want to eat meat that you haven't killed yourself or you know where it came from. You kind of drew a
Absolutely.
hard line on that.
Yeah, I really think, and I've put a lot of thought into what it means to eat meat, which is taking the life of an animal. And I've hunted. I came from a family of bow hunters. I've bow hunted, and I just feel a kinship to all creatures, especially animals that move, and mammals are typically what you eat when you're on a farm, that and chickens. But I've noticed, I mean, this is getting into a different topic, so I'm not going to go deep on it, but for me, it really matters. I, of course, like many people who listen to this podcast, are against factory farming, but are okay with eating meat, and they're more okay if it comes from places who value animal welfare. Now, a lot of CAFOs will say that they value animal welfare. They have different standards than the average human does, and different standards than I do, which on our farm, death is an amazing thing. It's a lot easier than birth. I'm sure it's a lot more comfortable for most animals to die on this farm than it is to be born. When you're born, you come out of a nice, warm, cozy place into a really cold or semi-cold spot that's really dry, and you have to now search for your food and try and stay warm and take care of yourself because your mom's not always going to do everything for you. But when you die, you're getting a nice last meal, and then all of a sudden, poof, dead.
When you die on our farm.
When you die on our farm. Now, a lot of death in other farms is the same way, but it's not 100%. Because we take so much care in every animal that we slaughter, it's really unlikely that we're going to get any slow deaths, because I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, yeah, I feel good. I mean, I felt pretty good before, but I feel pretty good. I love being this close proximity to what I eat. I love the art and science of producing food on the micro level. And when people, if anyone is interested in drinking goat milk, the best way to do it is just get a couple goats and make your own goat milk. I think,
and keep it clean and chill it rapidly.
We could get into that, like how to deal with milk.
But that's the hard and fast. Keep it clean, chill it rapidly.
Yeah.
And you will your goat milk will improve tenfold if you're not doing that already.
Yeah. Okay. So
Leo, do you feel like talking? Can you talk about how
I'll just say this. Living on a farm with good food is a very good decision for me, and yeah, I like working the farm and seeing where my food comes from. And I don't know if I'm not sure of all the benefits, but just on an anecdotal point of view, I feel like I benefit a lot. And even the lifestyle of living on a farm, as well as being connected to the food that you're eating, feels good. And that's all I have to say about that.
You're absolutely right about the lifestyle, because one of the things that also happened to me when I started a farm is I canceled my gym membership because I didn't have time to go anymore and I didn't need it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I kind of miss, because I kind of miss, like, I used to work out more, and I kind of miss getting my heart rate up. So I've started to do got some races down the hatch that I'm going to be doing. But I haven't been stressing about how many miles I put in on the running, because farming takes precedence. So I'm not going to win as many races as I want to. But
as you deserve to.
Let's
be frank.
But my real race that I'm running right now is for farms and to more food sovereignty.
For farms everywhere. Yeah. So that's actually a great segue into a question we got off of Facebook. Is now a good time for farmers to be political?
You're asking me.
I mean, I have an opinion. My opinion is yes. Yeah. If not now, when? Because family farms that gross less than 350,000 a year, are disappearing at an alarming rate from our country. And I think now more than ever is the time for farmers to become political, and not in a way red versus blue, but in a way that, the food production, food security is huge. And I think we're on a trajectory where it's not hard for me to imagine a dystopian world in which one major conglomeration owns all the food. And to me, that's scary. And I think it is to a lot of people who know what it is to grow food and how special it is and how secure it is. I mean, I'm one of those people who also believes the zombie apocalypse is a possibility.
Right around the corner.
And so food production, food security, those types of things are important to me. So I say, yeah, now's a great
Zombies
time.
actually don't eat corn or soy.
I know.
Which is kind of cool.
But you can't just run to the grocery store if there's an apocalypse, because, I mean, who knows if they're going to be like day walkers or night walkers. I mean, there's lots of questions.
That's a really good point. Really good point.
So food security and being able to grow your own food is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. This is a big question, and you can go as deep as you want. And Rachel's constantly telling me, keep it short, keep it peppy.
Keep it zippy.
Keep it zippy. Keep it zippy. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Okay.
Well, we're about to show you the opposite.
Well, I say, screw that.
So, anyways, I didn't say that. I love this question. I think that there's. I could go on for days about it. I would love to have a long discussion about it. It's a fun one for me. It's exciting, and I've thought about like different titles for books that would get people excited. But one of them was Farmers, the Unassuming Heroes of Our Time. And
with Matthew on the cover.
Matt, this is how Matt answers a question, by restating the question 17 times until
he thinks he's answered
until he's
it.
like, all right, now we've started down a good path.
Okay.
Right, here we go.
The unassuming heroes of our time. And the reason I say that is because what's led to climate change?
Did it get air quotes? Why do you air quote climate change?
Because there's a lot of climate change people who are in denial that climate change exists, or just don't believe it exists, and I don't really want to alienate those people. No.
Then you don't use the air quotes.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
that's like saying what's
okay.
That means you're
society.
agreeing with them.
Okay. Well, honestly, I haven't read the hard evidence, and I don't even know if I would understand it, but I do believe climate change is real. I just really doubt that scientists are trying to. Anyways, let's forget about climate change. Yes, this is a good time to get involved politically if you're a member of a democratic nation.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. Everyone should be involved politically. Now, food production is an amazingly important.
Oh God, sorry.
Food production is a very important subject for any community, no matter what size you are. And how you produce food should be on the top of everybody's mind. Unfortunately, it's not, but I think it's gaining traction with consumers at large.
Well, and here's, I think I just did a blog post on this actually, because I think people tend to think, well, I'm either going to be all in on activism or I'm whatever. I mean, my heart wants to do it, but it's really stressful. And it is. There's 10,000 choices to make around what dairy product I should buy in a grocery store. Should I support this small farm? Is this small farm lying to me?
Can I afford to support this small farm?
Right. And so what I just wrote in a blog post is you can't do everything, but you can do something. And so every third trip to the grocery store, buy the cheese with the peacock on it. instead of buying one pair of pants or instead of buying 3 pairs of pants that are fast fashion, buy one pair of nice wool pants that you can wear over and over again.
Better yet, make your own.
Right, but see, that's where the stress comes in.
Right.
Is when, in order to actually do something good and save the planet, I need to make my own. I need to graze the sheep. I need to make the wool. I need to spin it. No, you don't. I think you can be political, and I'm putting that in air quotes because I don't think it's a political issue, even though it has become one. You can make a difference with your choices, and you don't have to do everything. So, start a buying club and support local farms. Support your co-op. Oh my gosh, I never knew what a co-op was until I started this farm and we started selling there, because I thought it was like this closed off area for people who, wanted herbs. It's a grocery store. And not only is it a grocery store, who would have thought? Not only is it a grocery store, it's a grocery store that
supports local,
barely marks it up. Our cheese is so cheap there.
Inexpensive.
Supports its workers, is huge on all these kind of social issues that I just didn't know that places could do that. And I'm sure co-ops like that are all over the country.
They're much more receptive to their consumer base. If you don't like something or see a product that you've seen bad press on, then you can come to them with your problem, with your complaint, and they'll be much more receptive to what you have to say. Or if you want to see a certain product on their shelf, it's much more likely if you go into a co-op, you're going to see locally produced products, and they'll be able to tell you about the farm that makes them.
On that same note, though, I've noticed Safeway does this too. There's little stickers now that say local, and there's a little sign that says where it's from, which I think is awesome. I always choose those first before I choose the brand that I may recognize, but it's not local.
Right.
So, I mean, I think there's varying degrees of things that you can do. Just do something.
But you're talking right now about consumer choice and how consumer driven, how consumer choices can change the way food's produced. I think she might be also focusing on just like, as a farmer, should we start speaking out? And in what way should we speak out? Because politically, you're talking with your representatives, you're talking with your county, your local municipality. And all I have to say is, of course, the more we can produce food from our own household, the better. Like if you can... In Olympia, it's pretty good, and it's because people have taken steps politically at the municipal level to produce more of their own food. So you see more urban farms. You have less people in HOAs who are willing to put up with no chickens, no garden, and all that other BS. And so what we have now in Olympia is you can have 1 or 2 goats. I know in Seattle you can have 1 or 2 goats, mini goats, which is fine. They produce more than enough milk for a normal 2-person household with like 3 or 4 kids. So for two grown-ups, 3 kids, definitely more than enough milk. And then you have enough eggs, and you could probably get even like some supplementary broiler chickens in there too. So there's a lot you can produce just meat and dairy wise on your own property, and then you can produce tons of vegetables. So
this is a call to action.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a farm like us where this is our full-time job. We're trying to make a living wage as farmers. You can have a homestead and still be involved in the political movement by raising your own chickens, having a backyard goat, producing as much food as you can. And if you can't do that in your community now, that's where the political call to action comes in. Start with your HOA, start with your city council, all those places. And it all just improves food security, which I think is something we should be worried about. So
well, I don't know about that. I mean, we produced over 10 billion. We produced enough food for like 10 billion people this
right,
year,
but it's from the same. It's like 5 corporations that produced all that, and one of them, Dean Foods, just declared bankruptcy and is getting bought up.
Safety-wise,
I'm talking about food security as far as options are better. I don't want one corporation producing all the food for our country.
Oh, okay.
All right, next question.
Next question. How we juggle and get so much done.
Well, I'll tell you what. I do a lot on this farm. And feel like, I don't get a lot of respect. And that's fine. I deserve it. But
You deserve respect, or you
no, I
don't
don't.
deserve
don't
I
respect?
don't
deserve it?
deserve it. I don't deserve it. And
Yeah.
that's fine with me.
Yeah, good.
But I've been taken care of a lot this week, and I'm very grateful. And all I can eat is mushy food, and it's not fun. And so I've been getting good sleep though. And
Have you?
what's this question?
Aren't you lucid dreaming?
He sleeps probably
this.
15 hours a
I
day
feel
right
like
now.
I'm
Cat.
never awake.
So here's the funny thing about convalescing Uncle Leo is he really wants to cuddle, and the kids, don't want to cuddle all day long,
Yeah, they
and
do.
so Leo
You guys
is
just don't
just
let 'em.
roaming around the house, picking up. We have 5 cats. How many cats do we have?
Yeah, they only
Three?
cuddle
5.
for 5 minutes at a
So
time.
Leo just roams around the house in his little stupor and picks up cat after cat and brings them back to the couch, and then the cat gets bored with him, and then he has to go roam around, shuffle around the
Right.
house and find another cat. Yesterday I came up and he had Zach, the herding dog, held hostage on the couch.
It was his turn.
Zach is not a cuddler. He came from a working ranch. He
I
very
disagree.
much
I disagree.
was
Give him
made to
time.
work.
Enough time, he'll be a cuddler.
Poor Zach's face, though. He just looked at me like, "Can we be done
Save me.
cuddling, please?"
And we weren't. And we
No.
didn't.
Uncle Leo calls the shots on when cuddling is done.
That's right.
The question was how we juggle so much and get it done.
Oh, I don't. That was the end of my
You
answer.
don't.
Yeah, I don't.
You're
juggle.
not.
I don't juggle so much.
You're not juggling anything right now
No.
except healing.
So for one, we do juggle a lot, and we don't get everything done. There's tons of stuff that's not done. There's tons of untied knots around this farm, and that's the truth of the matter. I mean, sometimes our house is not as clean as I want it to be. It's not like unsanitary or anything, but it's not as clean as I want it to be, and it's because we're constantly outside spending time working on things, fixing things, trying to get things working nicely on the farm, making cheese, milking goats, feeding animals, caring for sick animals, blah, blah, blah. So we don't get everything done, but we work our butts off, and that's the main reason we're successful is because Rachel and I are both really, really hard workers that don't like to take no for an answer. We think we can do everything except be a basketball star because I'm only 5'6" and shrinking rapidly
You know,
because I'm getting older.
grow. Hit a growth spurt.
Yeah, I could take some roids, and that might help me grow.
Yeah.
you think
but-
so?
Yeah,
You can-
roids actually sometimes help people grow like an inch or two.
Whoa.
So maybe more like half an inch. I don't know.
Yeah, half an inch. That's the only difference between Matt and the NBA.
I'm not saying NBA status, but
What are you
anyways.
saying? The Senior Citizen League.
yeah.
All right, I'm
Um,
done.
So, anyways, yeah, people think we're superstars, which I guess Rachel had a really pretty great track record for success in all aspects. Well, in most aspects of her, at least professional life.
Which one did he take away for, I wonder? I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
Which one did he take away for?
Yeah, you did say all aspects, and then you took it away and said, well,
Oh,
pretty much.
Your diet wasn't good.
Oh,
before
yeah.
the farm.
Oh, for
and
sure,
your like
100%.
your outlook on health and
And he's gonna start rattling off the whole
There's
list.
going to
yeah,
be like
there's
a
many
little
things like what,
Actually, now
what,
that we think about it,
what your picture of success was changed from before you had a farm. Now that you have a
Yeah.
farm, your understanding of what success and what a life that you want to live, it's a totally different picture. Am I right?
That's actually a really good point.
But can we wrap
No.
up this answer to this one? Because
You
they're
answered it.
specifically asking, how do we get everything done? And I just
Well, you just said we don't.
we don't. Yeah, but we know how to prioritize the most important thing. And I think a lot of the times when people try to start businesses, they imagine, I'm going to start this cute little coffee shop, and people who come in, they're going to be like this certain kind of people, like cute little families are going to come in and have these coffees and these funny little cups and blah, 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 when there's like 100 coffee shops. But like they just have this romantic idea, but they don't do their research, and they don't spend their time like or they spend too much time doing something like beautifying instead of figuring out what coffee would bring in the most customers. Whereas like, so what we do during our day is top priority, make the milk into cheese, feed the animals. Like there's definitely a stream of actions that you need to do to make sure that finances keep coming in. And if you don't have finances coming in, then your business will not be maintained. You won't continue to be able to work, and you'll break down, and boom, you're back in corporate America or working as a nurse full time. No, thank you. So that's my answer to that question.
Yeah, we always prioritize what's going to make us money, and then
Yes.
we work down from there. And one thing we decided we were going to start doing is a standing wish list, which we have never done, but when I said it out loud, it seemed like a really great idea. So when we have some free time, you know, what project do we want to work on? And those can be the ones that don't make us money, but, you know, maybe bring us joy. Because segue into how unhealthy I was on a mindset of finances. Full on.
Finances are number one. It would dictate how you would eat,
How I would
you would
eat.
spend your time.
How I'd spend my time, always making more money. And it wasn't actually until I met you, it wasn't the farm that helped me on that. It was meeting you in which I realized that, you know, you can have a very high quality of life and not that much money. And so,
I just want to make a note here. This is the richest I've ever been right now, and this is
Yeah.
the poorest she's ever
yeah,
been.
it's
So
true.
this is a funny little conundrum we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
But this is the happiest I've ever been. So for me, more money equals more happiness. For Rachel,
Me,
less money equals more happiness.
Maybe it's just because we found each other.
I'm sure that's a lot to do with it.
But I was just talking to Sissy about this the other day. She said to me, you know, we don't go anywhere. And it's true. We don't eat out. We don't go to a lot of theme parks.
No.
We don't, do a lot of excursions where we have to spend money because we're either on the farm or when we do go, we take the horses and we go into the wilderness or the backcountry or on a trail ride or something. But that's because that's what I, as the head of the household, have prioritized for how I'd like to spend our time as a family. And lucky for me, you find joy in that too. I mean, you can find joy in a lot of things, but you've decided to support equine therapy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because, like, we can't really justify having horses on a practical level, at least not materially, because they are expensive and they're hard on the land. You need to have a lot of property and preferably not have it be this wet because they turn things into mud really quickly. There's different ways to do it, and there's better ways to do it than we're doing it now. It just takes a little bit of capital and a little bit of time to make that dream a reality. But for now, it's just like it's hard to deal with the mud. Like, and people have asked, how do you deal with the mud?
Yeah.
Which we already kind of addressed that. A lot of gravel, a lot of tires is our answer for that right now. But what were you going to say? What was I going to say?
I was going to say that even though money is something I think about now because we want to make a living wage as a farm, it's not the only thing I think about. And I've never been happier with less money than I've ever had, because there's a richness that comes with this way of life. And for me, it's a very high quality life because, you know, our family's together a lot. We work together every single day. We see each other.
Yeah.
We get to see our kids all day long. I mean, we pick up our kids from school every day, and it's a gift. It's a true
we're lucky
gift.
too, because we have, well, anyone who has a little bit of land, you have to realize that you're already in a great position to really enhance your life by just being able to work a piece of land, plant trees, plant some vegetables, and be creative. Be creative with it. We love to be creative on our farm, just like how we want to plant blueberries and raspberries.
Yeah, yesterday we took a walk on our hillside. We have this wonky little hill that Matthew, we spent a little bit of time up there, and Matthew found some natural contours that just make sense. We should plant raspberries there. So that's our plan, and that's exciting. It's something we can do with the kids. It's something that will create a crop that they love. And so,
And hopefully, we're going to have more than enough for our family, so hopefully we can share it with the community in some way as well.
yeah, hopefully eventually it becomes a crop that we can help add to the farm's income.
Mm-hmm.
When did you know your dream changed from homesteading to a business?
Well, that's a Rachel thing.
Yeah, you didn't really have a choice. So I told Matthew on like our second date, maybe third, that I was really into him and I really liked him. And as soon as he decided he didn't want to farm, there's the door, because I didn't want to fall for him and not have him be into the farm dream, because I was already into it when I met him. So you didn't really have a choice on that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, he's just like staring into abyss.
I
like,
think he's heard this story
this
before.
is my life.
Yeah, I've heard it a million times, but that's okay.
So for me, I first realized that I wanted to go from homesteading to farm because
You wanted more goats.
I wanted more goats. Yeah, cut to the chase. I had a corporate job and got my first dairy goat, fell in love, and thought, what job can I have where I get to have all the goats? And goat dairy came to mind just because.
And also stay at home with your daughter.
Yeah, I didn't want to drop her off at daycare. I wanted more time with her. I wanted, like we were talking about, more of that quality time. So for me, it was very, very almost instant as soon as I got my first goat. I wanted to start
And you wanted to be a millionaire.
carving out a world that was filled with goats. Well, yeah, I mean, I hadn't made the switch in my head then that, money wasn't everything.
So you were thinking you'd become a millionaire off your goat dairy. Because with her numbers, the numbers that I saw her draw up, it was like, whoa, we're going to be millionaires. But
So
we're not quite there.
You were tricked.
Yeah, there's a lot of trickery
Yeah.
and malfeasance.
So this is how you start a goat business: is you trick your husband. With
You find
the
a
wrong
guy who has
numbers.
all the skills
yeah, carpentry,
and the know-how and the fortitude and the brilliance
So here's what I
to
did
do all the dirty work
when I met
so that you
Matthew.
can just stay up in your little queendom
yeah,
with your little puppeteering.
I prefer
telling-
the term Black Widow. When I first met Matthew, he would, say something like, "Wow, I really wish we had a hammock," and like the next day, a hammock would just magically appear.
I think there was one thing that I just
where he
didn't
wanted
even
a hammock.
verbalize, and like it just appeared. Like I don't even know. Like I looked one way and looked back, and it's like, what the heck?
He was like, "Wow, this would be really amazing if we had wind chimes," and then like
Blackout
next-
curtains because
the
I was
next
working
time he
nights,
came, there were
and they
wind
were
chimes.
there within a few days.
Yeah, he worked nights, and so I went ahead and made the house into a little nest for him so he could just stay over. And probably my biggest victory in my Black Widow mindset was when Matthew had chickens when I first met him, and one of the chickens, he lived not downtown, but like close to a convenience store, and I guess one of the chickens took a walk to the convenience store, which I still get a chuckle out of that.
They would follow people to the convenience store. Everyone in my neighborhood loved them, except for one person who almost got me kicked out of the neighborhood for having chickens. But that's another story to tell.
But one of the chickens sadly met its end from a neighborhood dog, a rooster, who knows.
Neighborhood dog.
And so Matthew told me we didn't live together, but Matthew was like, "Oh, my chickens got injured, and I don't know what to do with my other chickens." And I was like, "Bring them here."
Yeah.
So he did, and it was like this. It was the beginning. That was the beginning when you brought your chickens
Yeah.
to the farm. I was roping you in.
Yeah. So Rachel always says chickens are the gateway drug, and she means it to farming. But I guess chickens were the gateway drug to me living with her too.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah.
Thanks, chickens, for all the things you've brought me in my life.
I know. I think the last chicken from my pre-Rachel life is dead, but it was here for just until like several months ago. So it was really interesting just seeing it and its life from being in a urban setting to a complete farm setting, and what a special thing.
Yeah. Just like you. I brought you from your urban setting to the farm setting.
I know, which for me is like being back home because I come from a very a very rural setting.
No stoplights, no fast food.
Heck no, and I hate that stuff.
Matthew's from Twisp, Washington.
Yeah, take your stoplights and
Put in a roundabout.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's what most engineers would say too.
They don't
right?
have those either
Yeah, no
in
roundabouts.
Twisp.
Anyways,
I'm gonna wrap it up.
let's wrap it
Let's
up.
wrap it up.
What's sparking joy for you right now?
So what sparked joy for me is when I picked up my daughter the other day from school. Is this father of another couple kids from that school came up to me and he goes, "I listened to your podcast. I loved it." And I guess I kind of had like a B-list celebrity moment where I was like, I go, what? I'm just thinking, like, what do I say? Like, I just want to be nice and have a conversation. But then, like, I realized he wasn't really interested in what I had to say. I was like, oh, yeah, you can come to I figured, like, treat this person as a person who wants to come to the farm. Yeah, so if you like farms and you're interested in farms, you can come to our farm. We have cuddling events coming right around the corner. If your kids are into baby goats, then we can do a volunteer thing that we set up where you feed baby goats once a week, same day, same time, every week, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, well, I really like the podcast. And I was like, oh, you don't care about coming on. You just liked the podcast. Wow. I want to have more people like you subscribe to our channel or something, whatever happens with that. So that was my happy moment.
Yeah. That happened to you. You and Leo were running, right, on the trail, and someone recognized Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach was the celebrity that sucked him in. Yep,
Yeah.
that was cool too. I mean, it happens quite a bit for the farm. That was the first time it happened for the podcast, and I was just surprised because that was the first podcast we put out. I think there was only like 300 listeners at that
Yeah.
time.
Well, hey, thanks for listening.
So, yeah, we love it when people subscribe. I mean, we want to create a community where we're as connected as possible to people who buy our cheese, to people who know about us, and just the farming world if you're having a homesteader. So it was exciting to me to connect with someone like that on a face-to-face.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. Leo?
I mean, I was really happy to go to the bathroom today.
Number 2.
After 5 days.
Yeah.
Dropping the
Yeah.
doofs.
Yeah.
And I was really happy that the surgery turned out really good and easy. So
Yeah, because
it was pretty smooth.
Leo's doctor kind of put the fear of pain in him.
And so did everyone I asked that had it.
Yeah.
Everyone said that it was going to be so painful. I mean,
Yeah, I talked to
Sounds
one
bad.
person who said it wasn't that bad.
yeah,
Most people say it's really like the worst thing ever.
yeah.
But it sounds like there are some people who just aren't
Didn't get it as
go
bad.
through it as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's me.
Well, and I think all the bone broth we've been giving you.
Yeah,
And
I
all the
haven't-
opiates
I
you've
haven't
been
getting-
mething
I
out
have
on.
been getting pampered. That's true.
Leo
Yeah.
needs to be like Leo lives his best life when he's highly pampered, which I totally
Yeah,
get that.
True.
I'm the same way. Like if I could be pampered all the time, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
dream come true.
That's because you guys were raised by
Mom.
Beverly King.
Beverly King,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
likes to pamper.
Yeah.
She does like to pamper. And there's nothing wrong with being pampered every once in a while.
Yeah.
When you're feeling down.
Yep. When you're
It's
feeling
nice to
blue.
be pampered.
Well, and honestly, that's my spark joy moment was the day Leo came home from surgery and he came and sat up on the couch and he was so you were still coming down off the anesthesia. You
Oh,
had a
yeah.
lot of pain pills in you. You were high.
As a kid.
And you were so funny without like trying to be funny. You were just wanted to talk. So Leo, he was like, let's sit down, let's watch a movie. And then he gets like this high and mighty. Nope, we're just going to talk. And we all sat around.
Rachel and I were just
We
like,
talked.
I
It was
know.
so late, but we talked for
I
a
was
lot
like-
of hours.
I
And
was like,
it was so sweet because Matthew rubbed Leo's feet the whole time.
Yep.
And
he made me sanitize them too.
first he washed them.
Yeah.
First he washed your feet and then he rubbed them. And for me, what's sparking joy for me right now is watching our village. We have a pretty cool village. You know, it's our family and then our best friends are a husband, wife, and they have a kid. And then we have 2 grandmas that are pretty woven in, and that's kind of the core village. We have dinner together almost every night, and we do a lot of things together. But I have loved watching this village come together and pamper Uncle Leo, because
Me too.
that's what it's for. That's I think
pampering me. I keep telling everybody
I really think that's why your healing is going so well, because
just wait till Christmas time.
you have
A
all
lot of
these
love.
people who care about you, and
I agree.
I have loved having you on the couch, because like on the nights Matthew's working, I like talking to you, and I enjoy it. I like having you as a brother
And as a roommate.
Yeah, right now a roommate. So
I'm a pretty chill roommate.
you're pretty Leo's expert cave maker.
I'm like a flea or something. Like, you don't really notice me, but like I'm there.
You just notice a pile of blankets.
Yeah.
Because Leo's under there.
Yeah.
Because he's really good at caving out and creating which the kids think is awesome. They're all in. They're learning how to make caves from Uncle Leo.
Good example.
So
all right. So next time we're gonna talk about a lot of stuff, and I want to get back to you guys about some of the stuff. But for now, the stuff we talked about today is pretty cool, and the stuff we're gonna talk about tomorrow will also be pretty cool. So anything you guys want to say?
This has been Farming with Peacocks, and that's a wrap.
And that's good. I'm not breaking it down with Peacocks.